highly anticipated annual gameplay breakdown video. We're going to be going over everything gameplay related inside this video when it comes to NBA 2K26. We'll be talking about the no RNG pure green window shooting from both 3-point and mid-range. We're going to be talking about the new custom layups and how consistent we think those are going to be. The new dunk meter, we're able to see the green window again, but is it any good? We're going to be talking about dribbling, can tall build speed boost again? Of course, we've got to cover on-ball defense for all you locks out there. Paint defense, rebounding. We got everything you need when it comes to 2K26 gameplay. I'm also going to be posting some unedited, raw, full game online user versus user gameplay here shortly, so stay on the lookout for that. But take a second, drop a like on the video for me. Let's try to get this video to 20,000 likes, and let's get into this NBA 2K26 gameplay breakdown. Alright, first things first, all the play now clips in this video are on Hall of Fame difficulty. We're going to start off with some dribbling in the Learn 2K core. I don't know what the difficulty was on in there because whites were going in, but the play now clips are all on Hall of Fame. Alright, let's start this off with dribbling. A lot of questions to be answered here, a lot of clips here for you to enjoy. Let's talk about it. First thing to remember, these are NBA players. They do not have optimized SIGs. You cannot change their SIGs. They have whatever they have. Durant has Durant SIGs. De'Aaron Fox has De'Aaron Fox SIGs, etc. But the gameplay you're going to see tomorrow, I can't really speak on it, but it's with the My Players, and in the test builder, you could change your SIGs, and it is a night and day difference from how the NBA players move to how you can move when you're able to change your SIGs. But this will give you at least a general idea of how it looks and, you know, how people are bursting. And obviously I know a lot of people from my channel are going to be like, bro, like, are the big builds bursting again? And yes, you can speed boost on big builds. It's a night and day difference between 2K25 and 2K26. And people might say, oh, what about the small guards? And yes, the small guards can fly. They can really chain stuff together. People are definitely going to find some glitchy stuff. You see, you could spam behind the backs. You can spam escapes. There's some really, really good launchy behind the backs now, and you can start to combo those with like explosive behind the backs and momentum behind the backs. And you see, I mean, that's 6'11" Kevin Durant changing directions on a dime. You guys are starting to see some of the momentum crossovers. Now, I do want to mention, there's only so many hours in the day at Community Day that you can't really like fully focus on everything. And my boy Young Dirk was really focused on dribbling, so he sent me all these clips in the Learn 2K. So I'm gonna leave the link to his dribble tutorial down below if you want to see more about dribbling after you finish this video. But shout out to Young Dirk for hooking me up with the clips. I did get some dribble clips, but like I wasn't going to spend a few hours on it when I knew other people were doing it. I wanted to focus on other areas of the game so we could get as much information as possible. But what's really nice to see is all these different NBA players have different dribble styles. You know, like Curry has his, Fox has his, Kevin Durant has his, Jimmy Butler has his, etc. And they can all speed boost. And that's just a breath of fresh air, because I feel like in past 2Ks, it was like only 1 or 2 dribble styles could really burst cleanly. So it was like you were forced to use them. Now, there's probably going to end up being like a couple that are better than all the other ones, but y'all get what I'm saying? Like before, it was like no matter what, if you weren't using Darius Garland last year, you had a hitch run out or just you had a no burst run out of dribble moves. It looks like there's multiple dribble styles now that can burst. And again, this isn't even with optimal SIGs to go with the dribble style. This is just what the NBA players have on. So just wait till tomorrow when y'all can see how the My Players are moving. Now, I'm definitely interested in your thoughts on the dribbling from what you've seen here. So get your comments in down below and let's start the discussion. That is the Scottie Pippen behind the back that Mike was talking about. You know, they added some more explosive kind of behind the back dribble moves into the game. And that Scottie definitely launches you forward. There's also, I think the Kobe White one felt pretty good. I was experimenting with it. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably want my opinion on dribbling. So here it is. I spent a fraction of the time dribbling as other creators like Dirk and Koza and other creators. They spent majority of the day dribbling. I spent probably 20-30 minutes, tried it out, and then went to go get other information. But here's what I felt. It felt much more explosive than last year. It felt much more dynamic, and like you had more burst, you had more pop with the ball in your hands. It felt like you could chain things together much more quickly. And most importantly for me personally, it just felt more fun. Now, I understand the bar from 2K25 was set extremely low, so to say it was better or more fun than that is like, well, you know, you're not really saying much, which I get, but it's just how I felt. Like dribbling there, I was like, damn, like This feels a lot more enjoyable than what I was doing the last 12 months on 2K25. So we'll see how the game feels at the official launch date. Because remember last year, people at Community Day found certain ways to speed boost dribbling wise, and then it was removed by the time the actual game came out. So hopefully that's not the case this year. Hopefully all this stuff people are finding in ways to burst and be dynamic and be explosive off the dribble. Hopefully all that stuff is there at launch, and then we could really dive into it as a community and find some crazy stuff. But that's enough about dribbling. Let's move on to some other gameplay aspects. All right, let's talk about shooting and shot contests. Got a bunch of clips here. Some are going to be open, some contested, some green, some miss. Want y'all to just take a look at it, and I'm gonna just let it play, and you guys can kind of start to assess, you know, how the shooting looks, how the contest system looks, and get your thoughts down below in the comments. I will say a few things. I know people are gonna ask about RNG and the pure green window and how did it feel and blah blah blah. Obviously, it's just a few, you know, hours that I was playing the game, because I also had to get, you know, my builder stuff done and all that. But the green window definitely felt more precise. Like when you got it right, it was green, but when you got it wrong, it was earlier, it was late. Like you were like, it was like if you were slightly off, it was doinking. So when I talked to Mike in that interview I did with him, he explained it, if he could compare it to anything, was like a more skill-based 2K24 shooting system. And I could kind of see where he's coming from, just because of, you know, yes, you have the pure green window, but it is, you got to be more precise than you were on 24. And that I did feel that. Now, obviously, it's just a few hours. We'll see how it plays out when the game actually drops. But another thing that was noticeable was player height really matters still on the shooting. You know, taller builds definitely shoot over people and, you know, get contested less than the shorter builds. And Kevin Durant was an absolute god because of that. I mean, KD was insane on this. All right, we're going to switch gears over to mid-range a little bit here, and I'll be honest with you, the mid-range felt really good. Tested it with KD, Shea, I think there's maybe like a Curry clip, a Luka clip, like definitely shot a few middies here and there, but was definitely using it a lot with Kevin Durant, just trying to just see how the contest system was registering. I had somebody using Shea on the other team, and then I was using KD, and we basically tested mid-ranges for like good 10-15 minutes straight. They feel really good. I know they were good on 25. They feel really good on 26, and again, the height thing, I know I'm harping on it a lot, but like you start to see how people are, you know, you saw in the dribbling in the beginning of this video, right? Like people are able to move now on the bigger players, and that wasn't even my players. Like I said, that was NBA players, and you were still bursting and doing all that. Then you combine it with the fact that you're really like shooting over people in terms of that advantage. Like you might actually see a back and forth this year of small guards and big guards both being viable again. I think overall for the game, that would be beautiful. A little bit more build diversity, a little bit more playstyle diversity. And what I will say about shot contests is they definitely felt stronger than 2K25. 2K25 to me felt like you were kind of praying for a contest. Like 90% of stuff just registered open. It didn't feel like that on this game. It definitely felt stronger, but not stronger to the point where ghost contests were happening like in past 2Ks. If a dude had his hand down, especially against a guy like Durant who's so tall, but even other players that we tested like Shea and stuff, it would say open if their hand was down. So if they reached and you shot it, it said open. If they jump, but they were, you know, super late getting out to you, it would still say open. If you created enough space, like on that fade over Chet right there, it says open. But then if they, you know, if they're under you and they get a hand near your face or near where the ball was, or they jump in time to get there before you release the ball, they'd register some type of contest. Now let's talk about rhythm shooting, the new rhythm shooting system, right? Apparently you only have to green the tempo, and that is confirmed because you're about to see a couple clips of it, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm gonna be honest. You know, apparently if you don't green the timing, it makes it harder to green the tempo, but as long as you just green the tempo, it still goes in. And I'll be honest, without the meter, it's kind of like, man, he's making whites is kind of what I feel like, you know, even though I understand the system is different, but when you turn the meter on and see it visually, I mean, I'll be honest. It hurts my soul. I'm like, bro, this dude is making a 3/4 bar shot, but I understand the logic is different now, but I think we're all like ingrained in the 2K25 rhythm shooting system. Let me know your comments down below. Let's talk quick about perimeter defense bumps. You see right here, Lou Dort cuts off Kevin Durant coming up the court, and they get a physical body up cut off like bump animation. If someone's moving, if a dribbler is moving and you cut them off, you will get a bump, physical body up bump. But a big difference I noticed was on 2K25, if someone was standstill dribbling at the top of the key, you could just like press against them and interrupt that dribble sequence. Now, I'm not going to say it's impossible to interrupt someone's standstill dribble sequence, because obviously I just tested it in the limited amount of time that I had, but it definitely felt night and day difference to 25. 25 felt like if someone's dribbling, you know, on the perimeter standstill, you could just basically run up to them, smash into them, and interrupt their whole dribble combo, and it would put their player in like a bump animation. Didn't feel like that on this game until they started moving. Once they started to try to burst past you left or right, or try to drive to the basket or whatever, then if you were running with them, then there would be some type of body up collision. But we'll have to see, you know, how that plays out throughout the year, but it definitely was a noticeable difference in my opinion. Last quick thing for perimeter defense bumps, off the little push cross here into the defender's leg, lose the ball. I know a lot of people are like anti-push cross, anti-De'Aaron Fox crossover. Well, position yourself correctly, you could be knocking that ball free without even having to reach. All right, let's talk about layups. We know custom layups and slow-mo Euros and all this new layup stuff they're adding, so let's talk about it. Layups definitely felt much improved from 2K25, but that's not saying much. Layups were pretty awful in 2K25. Size matters. You saw that one right there with Giannis. You're going to see some with Trey, Luka. Size matters in terms of getting contested. It felt like the bigger players definitely could go up with more 50-50 takes, and the green window would stay a bit bigger than the smaller players. But overall, whether it was Trey, Luka, De'Aaron Fox, Giannis, whoever it was, being able to see the green window, I know it was an old feature. Like we had it in 2K24, then they got rid of it. They brought it back. I'm not hyping it up like, whoa, like this is, but it's just nice to be able to see it, not only to help you know when to release the timing of the layup, but also so you know what's a good take and a bad take, and help you understand what you can and can't go up with. Now let's talk about driving dunks. All right, dunk meter. You know, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about this, so let's talk about it. First thing I'll say, size matters again. It felt like the bigger players got more consistent green windows. Some concerning things was I still feel like there's some kinks that need to be worked out in terms of the dunk meter. I have a couple of specific clips coming up here in just a second, and I did bring it to their attention, and I'm sure other people did as well at Community Day. And as we know, we saw last year, they definitely make changes after Community Day. You know, last year they nerfed builds and took out certain dribble speed boost animations and stuff, but check out a couple of these animations. You're gonna see me beat the defender, and or whoever I'm playing against gets past me, and we're just, you know, driving to the basket. Like right here, Ant Edwards slides through, has a clear path to the hoop by the time he goes up with the dunk, and the dunk window stays small. So that's a little alarming to me. I feel like there's, like I said, there's still some kinks to definitely work out. Like this one right here, it's a clean drive. Blew by the defender, clean line at the hoop, but because like when I started the dunk, maybe the defender was still like pushed against me. I'm not really sure. Like I said, there's definitely some stuff to still fix. But even with that being said, we're still getting some nice contact dunks at times. You know, sometimes the green windows were big, sometimes they were small, so definitely figuring out exactly how the logic works. But something I definitely like is when they take you out of the dunk meter, you turn it into a layup, and it's usually a pretty greenable layup. So I feel like that is a nice change. Instead of it just being like, I went up for a dunk meter, they took me out of the dunk meter, and now the play is cooked. It's like, nah, in real life, it's like, oh, I wanted to dunk it, but now I got hit, so I'm gonna, you know, adjust my body and be able to turn it into a layup type of thing. So we'll have to see how the dunk meter plays out. I'm not really sure if it's good or bad yet. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure. I need to see more, and I need to see what kind of changes are tweaked by the time the game launches. Let's move on to interior defense and standing dunks. There's definitely some crazy interior defense animations. Like, look at this one by Rudy. My God. I mean, to be fair, it's Rudy and Wemby. They have great interior defense stats, but you could definitely get some crazy stops. Now, wide open standing meter dunks, you see how big the green window is. And then even like standing meter dunks against smaller defenders, like Wemby just, you know, going up over smaller defenders. See the size of the green window. It kind of feels like it's like you could get crazy stops, but you could also get crazy dunks. It's kind of, I'm not really sure. Like, we'll have to see how it plays out, but they both definitely felt viable. Like if you timed when you were going to jump to get the stop, it's like you'd get a crazy ante. But you could also, if you went up with the standing dunk and they weren't entirely properly positioned, you would just boom it on him. Also, a little detail I noticed right here was as Joel was backing down Wemby, look at when Wemby jumped, his hand was behind, like Joel pinned him so deep in the dead zone that when he jumped, his hand hit the back of the backboard and it registered open. I feel like in past games, sometimes if you did that, it would still register a contest just because it was like, it thought you were supposed to be there, but you weren't actually there because you got stuck on the hoop. I don't know, just something like a small little detail I noticed. But you see the size of these standing dunk meters, you could definitely go crazy with the standing dunks, but then you also saw some of the paint stop animations I was getting is like you could definitely go crazy with the interior stops as well. Like here's one from Wemby. I mean, I'm not really sure which one's going to be better, but they both definitely felt viable, at least for the little bit that I tested them. Last thing, rebounding. You can turn off the green feedback in the player HUD. I did notice that. I know some people have been asking that, but as you can see here, you don't have to green the rebound to get it. You know, Mike has already talked about that, but just so people could be clear about that. And then even here, I'm on Jokic, I green the rebound and my teammate grabs it instead of me. So just because you green it doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. But this is what the green feedback looks like. Figure we'll just touch on that real quick.
Get to see why I was so excited in the past few videos, man, because I've seen that dribbling is back on 2K26. But I've also got some worries that we need to go over today, guys. This is a literal breakdown of what I believe is the most important information in about 10 to 20 minutes of every single thing that was dropped today, because we watched it on stream and we went trending again. So thank you guys seriously so much. Now, everything you're seeing today is NBA players dribbling, their signature animations. Usually, even the best players do not have that good of moves, and yet they are moving on 2K26. So imagine tomorrow when we see everything. I'm talking about the builder. Koza said right here. And to think this doesn't even compare to tomorrow, LMAO, let me cook up this My Court vid for y'all. They actually, for the first time in, I think, ever, got to use custom signature animations. We're gonna see them before the game even drops. It's going to be crazy. So of course, just like usual, I'm gonna give you guys a like goal. I'm going off of your excitement, your interest. 5,000 likes before the builder stream tomorrow, and I will be live again. If not, I'll make another video just like this, and that's it, breaking down everything, what I think is the most important, and we'll still be good. You know, you guys have still been showing so much love. I appreciate it regardless. But if you do want to see a stream, slap that like button. So 2K26 dribbling. I just had a cup of coffee, man. I'm so excited. I told you guys, it looks really, really good. It's very fluid. You can run forward with lots of builds, even big builds. But I do have some worries for 2K26 as well. The first one we need to look at is what Uncle Demi was able to do with Victor Wembanyama out of the post. It's like his little post go-to thing. It's looking crazy. I'm not saying I'm worried about this. I'm just showing you guys some of the craziest stuff I've seen today. Wow. All right. Second, we have some go-to post moves, which honestly, when we came into this, I was like, there's no way, you know, but they actually look really good. They look really cool. And shout out to Double H for letting me use his video that you guys are watching here. I know it says Joey 2K in the top, but he used his footage. You see what I'm saying? And shout out to every single creator that's in this, bro, because a lot of guys did really good on their videos. But you guys see these go-to post shots, like, they look pretty nice. They look really good. I'm not, that's probably the least amount of things I do out of, you guys know I play every single play style, but my post-up game is probably the least of what I do during a 2K cycle. But it's still, it looks so good that I had to show you guys some crazy stuff. However, you haven't seen anything yet unless you've been on TikTok or you guys were in the stream earlier. My jaw was dropped to the ground, okay? You're about to see, first of all, here's Hakeem. I mean, just, like, you can't say that doesn't look good. It's just impossible. However, my worry here is that go-to shots are cancelable, so there might be some really, really glitchy stuff out of that. But look at this. Yao Ming post hooking from the 3-point line. I didn't know what to say for like 2 minutes when we seen this on stream. Like, I was flabbergasted. Okay, I couldn't believe my eyes. But like I did say on stream, I don't think this is gonna make it into the game. At least the effectiveness of like literally 3-point post hooks. I'm not saying it should be taken out or anything like that. I'm just telling you, I'm looking at it from a developer's perspective. I'd really doubt you're gonna be able to be post hooking from the 3-point line. But we'll see. Of course, we will just have to see when the game comes out. Now, also when the game comes out, we still have like 7 days of early access, which I told you guys is basically going to be like the demo of the game. So we're going to get probably a little bit of changes from what you're seeing at the event when the game releases 7 days early. And then when the game is actually released, there's probably going to be another big, you guys know 2K. There's going to be gameplay changes. So anything that's super, super extreme, I'm expecting to not see when the game releases. Okay, so I'm not saying anything needs to be changed or patched. I'm just giving you, I'm looking at it from like Mike Wang's perspective. He probably didn't even know you could do post hooks from the 3-point line, and I don't see it making it into the game. Okay, so here's the next one from GB3. He's going to catch the ball in the corner, and he is going to green, but early timing a very contested shot with the rhythm shooting. Now, I told you guys when Mike Wang told us on like August 7th that you don't have to green both of your timings, that I was really scared. It sounds very hand holding. It sounds like there's a low skill gap for rhythm shooting. And that's what it's looking like so far, guys. I'm pretty worried about that. Let's just think about it from a perspective of we want a game that has the most skill gap we could possibly get. I mean, that was the whole entire point of not wanting RNG in the game and having a pure green window. You don't want to be limited by the game making you miss if you time your shot right. And you also want it to go in when you time it correctly. So why should someone have to half time their shot and it still goes in? You see what I'm saying? I don't know how anyone would be okay with that if they want the highest skill gap game. But here it is, 30 seconds of Anthony Edwards with Hall of Fame posterizer driving down for some dunks. The dunk meter logic in 2K26 right now isn't looking bad. Joe Knows talked about it in his video. I would show you the one example, but I'm just going to explain it to you as you guys see. The meter logic is pretty good. However, there is some flaws in it that Joe said he did and other creators brought to the attention of some developers, where there was an example of Anthony Edwards basically doing almost a free throw line dunk. As he started the dunk, he registered the defender next to him. There was a defender right next to him, okay, as he held down on the right stick. You only have to hold down this year to activate your dunk meter if you guys don't remember. And so the game registered that, hey, there's a defender in his bubble. Let's give him a small dunk meter. It made sense in the very beginning. However, Anthony Edwards, who, you know, has, I think, the highest driving dunk in the game, or very close, finished at the rim with a wide open dunk. And yet the meter did not move dynamically how Mike Wang says it's supposed to. So I'm okay with it starting with a small meter because that's where he registered the dunk and there was a defender by him. But the logic needs to update and say, hey, this is a guy with a very high driving dunk and there's no one near him at the rim. It shouldn't be a very small green window. All right, so we need to check this out. All right, defense. A lot of people were worried about defense because 2K wasn't talking about it. And from what I've seen so far, defense is looking really bumpy. Like, both sides of the court are overpowered, and that is how you get a good game. We don't want, or most of us, I don't want, a game where offense is just so good and defense can't do anything about it. No, make both sides very good, like 2K19, for example, and may the best man win, right? May the best user input win. And bumps are looking crazy. Joe Knows had a video where he was playing in the new Sunset Beach Park. Okay, so you guys are going to see lane steals right here as well. But he was playing in the new Sunset Beach Park with the My Team players. And yeah, Caitlin Clark twice. LeBron with like a full head of steam basically got bumped and stopped. Now, obviously that's a bit extreme. Apparently the My Team cards go off their ratings and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, Caitlin Clark was able to bump up LeBron. I think the defense is going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? At the moment, we still have not seen very much user versus user gameplay. And that's what tomorrow is going to help us with, also with the signature styles and stuff. But once we get into seeing the park, there's no Steve Francis, by the way. At least it's not under Steve Francis's name. The De'Aaron Fox cross is in the game, but creators said that it was locked in the builder, so they're not able to get it, meaning it's probably going to be at like how Starter 4 this year, you get extra animations. So here's paint defense. Paint defense is also looking pretty good at the moment. Now, guys, please remember when I say things like this, looking. I'm not paid by 2K. I'm not sponsored by 2K. Buy the game at your own risk. We are only looking at a fraction of the game. We don't know how it's going to play out. Like I just said, guys, for most of us that mainly play Park and stuff, user versus user, with all your attributes and your badges set correctly, exactly how you want, the fastest jump shots, the no dip shots, which, by the way, the no dip catch and shoots do look very strong. You know, we just don't really see everything at the moment. So I'm only going off of how it looks right now. The dribbling is very fluid. A lot of the clips that people are going to freak out about are clips of people spamming in the 2KU where there's no stamina. All right, so stamina being included is going to be a huge factor. No defender in front of them. So although dribbling looks very, very good, like insane, kind of overpowered, whatever, that's still with no stamina, no dribbler, no defender in front of them, all that type of stuff. Now, Joe Knows even did a interview with Mike Wang where he said he wants every playstyle to be overpowered. And we also have a few other things, right? So Mike Wang was talking about, you know, the game being actually no RNG, and it has a pure green window, except buzzer beaters and half-court heaves. All right, buzzer beaters and half-court heaves. He said he was a little bit worried about 7'4" builds, the standing dunks and stuff. So we'll see when the game comes out. The Kobe jab step is back in the game. If you guys remember in 2K24, it was a literal exploit to Kobe jab step under the paint, and then you would basically, it would knock the defender out of the way. There was no way to combat that, and you would have a huge, like, wide open standing dunk meter, even though there was a defender just there, but the defender gets thrown out every time. So the standing dunk meter looks pretty good, the logic and all that, but if you're able to Kobe jab step, that's going to be a 2K24 standing dunk issue like we just had before. So everything that we seen today on stream, I pretty much broke all the most important stuff down to you guys. I mean, I showed you Wemby doing all that crazy stuff. You seen the post hooks from the 3-point line, how fluid the dribbling looks, paint defense, bumps, all that type of stuff. So like I said, guys, take everything with a big grain of salt because we still do not have the game at the moment. All right, we have to see a lot more. We've seen like 50% now. But one thing real quick is that the passing looks very similar. Throwing the ball around defenders, it doesn't really look like you can actually do that. The slow Euros did not look that good, but we'll see in a 2v2 setting or a 3v3 how they look, because in the 5v5 setting, it just did not look very good. Defenders were able to catch up very quick or help very quick. And yeah, I mean, rebounding is rebounding, slashing, everything is pretty much similar. That doesn't need to really be changed. Like, rebounding is going to look very much like last year and the year before, but that's pretty much it, guys, in terms of breaking everything down quickly, summarizing it for you so you don't have to watch hours of footage. Dribbling looks amazing, very fluid, much more responsive, much more realistic than 2K25. There is a few unrealistic looking things to it, like the snatchbacks are super, I mean, just immediately like fast. And that was the second thing that I said I did not think was going to make it into the game. I'm not saying what should get added or removed, but just like the 3-point line post hook, I think the snatchback isn't going to make it how it, like every player does a millisecond snatchback, you know, into switching into the other hand. So I don't think that will make it into the game, but we'll see, guys. Let me know what you think about what you just seen. Click this video if you want to see yesterday's, but yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'm out of here. Click it or tap it. It'll take you to that video.
It's probably just the peaking.
It's his aura.
Okay. Yeah, it's his aura.
Let's get right into it. One of the biggest talking points from last year's game, the RNG and shooting. What can you tell us about shooting this year, and can you compare it to a past 2K?
Okay, so we've talked about this online a little bit. There's no RNG in shooting. I'm going to say that with an exception. There's RNG still in like those quick heaves that you get at the ends of buzzers, buzzer beaters, and like half court, full court heaves. Okay, so that's still, I don't want to get labeled a liar.
Fair enough.
That's still going to use a dice roll. But everything else is straight green windows, pure green windows. They scale based on attributes and coverage and all of the badges and everything. But those windows, once they're set by those things, if you can time your shot in those windows, you will hit the shot.
So theoretically, you can time your shot in those windows. You can shoot 100%.
You can shoot 100%. Yeah. So compared to past 2Ks, that one's hard to answer because we really have never done this before. The closest was probably 24. 24, we had a pure green window, a little bit larger one, but that one even had RNG on the edges. So what happened there is like, it was a really, really tight window that most people probably couldn't hit consistently. And then that would bleed out to like, 0% chance on the edges. So we still used a dice roll to keep the numbers like, so people wouldn't go like, over 10. They would at least hit some shots if they were kind of sloppy on their timing. Right. So that was the idea there.
So you'd say it's like a more skilled base 2K24 shooting.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are crazy good at shot timing, you're going to take good shots, you're going to destroy people.
You're going to separate yourselves from other players.
Absolutely. And to offset that, I'll throw that out there too, is that one of the reasons why we felt we could go this way is because defense is stronger. So contests, they're powerful. If you can get a hand up. And I watch you guys play a lot. I know you guys are really good at doing this. So you know when to jump, you know when to stay down, you know when to be in hands up. People who master that, they're going to be able to ding these shooters hard enough where it's going to be such a hard window to hit that consistently at least, that you're going to keep the percentages down. So I'm not too worried because at least all the play tests we've been having, we're getting good numbers.
So we'll segue into shot contests then. It seems like it can be challenging to find a balance, right? You have attributes, badges, player heights, player wingspans, hand placements on the contest. How do you try to balance it to make it to a point where you're not getting contests when you shouldn't, and then you are, it's not too strong, too weak? How do you find the balance between all those factors?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's just a lot of iteration, and it's seeing what feels right. And the hardest thing about contests, I'm going to say, is usually what happens is in the 2K cam view when you're playing live with no replays, sometimes things don't look as contested as they are, or vice versa. Yep. Like sometimes it's like, oh, there's a crowd of dudes on the guy. Why is it like a 2% contest? And usually it's because two guys are flat-footed, one guy's behind the shooter, and it looks really crazy, but it's actually pretty open. And so it's really hard to dissect, every little clip.
If you were to freeze frame it at the point of the release, it's actually...
You can kind of see why the game is saying this is not a heavily contested shot. Even though to your eyes, in real time, in the heat of battle, it might look contested. But yeah, it's really just a lot of balancing and trying to make it so that, everything is a factor. We want people to invest in good perimeter defense or interior defense on the inside. We want to make sure that, height is effective, wingspan's important. All those things got to be important.
Right.
And not, overpower each other.
Staying on the topic of shooting, rhythm shooting was added to 2K25. You've already talked about how rhythm shooting is different this year, and we kind of need to recalibrate our brains in terms of how to think about it. You've also talked about how you want button and rhythm shooting to both be viable options. What are some factors you would say people should consider when they decide if they want to shoot with the button or with the stick?
It's going to be labbing, I think. It's going to be finding a shot that works for you and finding out like what you're good at. Because it's, I guess my analogy, maybe it's not a good one, but it might be like if shooting with the button is like shooting a free throw. And shooting with the stick is like shooting a deep 3-pointer with maybe a slightly larger basket. It's like one might be easier for somebody and one might be harder for somebody, but it really depends on the person. Like some people are just going to get it. Some people are going to be in rhythm shooting and be like, I understand that tempo is what really matters. I got to get a certain speed in my stick throw to master shooting. And some people are like, I don't get it. I just can't hit a shot. I just see the window. I want to use the button. And that's fine. And then some people are going to be in the middle, like Wolf's one of our best players internally, and he's like, he has this crazy formula. He's like, I'll use button for this case, I'll use stick for this case, I'll use stick for this case, button for this case.
So
he's all over the place. Yeah, certain shots it might be easier for you. And for me, I do rhythm shoot. I rhythm shoot everything, and that's just how I play. But yeah, some people are mixing it up, some people are just pure button. And that's kind of one of the metrics for me, actually, is internally, what are people doing? What are they gravitating towards to be successful? And I've found that it's really a good mix. So I think we're in a decent spot. And I don't know why I want this, but I think rhythm shooting is cool. And if it was, up to me, everyone would at least try it. But like we said earlier, it's like I didn't want it to be like last year, there was definitely an advantage.
Right.
And there might be an advantage this year if you find it easier because you just happen to understand the mechanic better, but really you can't go wrong with either.
So if someone's not like you, if they don't like rhythm shooting, it's like you shoot with the button, you're on the level playing field. It's just it's just preference.
And some people are going to be like destroying people on the button, and if you force them to rhythm shoot, they'd probably go 0 for 10.
Yeah.
So it's really the goal is to make it both viable. Whether they're equal, I don't know if there's even a way to put a metric behind that, because I don't know how to gauge something that's that different, right? It's just different.
With the addition of the Badge Max +2 perk, you're going to be able to boost badges multiple levels now. Can you speak to how effective it's going to be? Let's say, your 78 3-pointer is typically silver set shot. How effective is it going to be to boost it to 78 3-pointer with half set shot versus actually getting the requirement of 3-pointer to unlock the badge level? Like how can we kind of in our brains define like how much better it's going to be?
That's a very difficult question.
All right.
It's very nuanced, and the thing about badges is that they're situational, right? So a rating is going to be more global and it's going to affect you everywhere, but the badges might be certain situations or certain contexts. So you have to consider that, like what kinds of shots are you taking? So yeah, generally speaking, I would just say find the shots that you like to take or that you tend to take, find out the badge that's going to work best for, and then go all in on that badge. That's better than getting like bronze everything. Bronze everything is going to be like, it's not going to do a lot for you, to be honest. You're going to want to go at least silver or gold to see some effects from that badge. Otherwise, just go in on your attributes and, that's going to be more beneficial to you.
All right, let's switch gears. Finishing. We've seen 2Ks where finishing has been insane, dunks, layups, floaters, all types of things. We've also seen years where it's been a bit hit or miss and a little inconsistent. It seems like this year was an area of focus, with custom layups and bringing back the visible green window on dunks and layups. Just talk about the challenges in terms of finding a balance, because again, there's so many factors: attributes, badges, player momentum, player size, height, all those things. How do you find that balance so that it's not overpowered, but it's also not inconsistent?
Yeah, that's another difficult one. Just one of the things I'll say from the outset is one of the goals for our team this year was, and this sounds weird, but we wanted every play style to be OP. So, you've maybe heard that before, right?
Yeah.
So like, it sucks when there's one dominant play style or two dominant play styles. We wanted it to be that if you created a slasher and even a layup slasher, like really specific thing, you want to be a guy who just finishes like Kyrie, that you can do that and you can be effective and you can like kill people with that.
Yeah.
But if you were like, some glass cleaning interior defensive guy, and if you invest everything in that and you get good at that, you can just stop everything in the paint.
If everything's OP, then it's kind of just like pick what you want to be.
Yeah, pick what you want to be.
Yeah.
We want there to be a diversity in play styles. But to answer your question with slashing, it was a point of emphasis, especially with layups and dunks, to make slashing just more of a game, like more of a weapon.
Right.
Because we knew going in, these thinking green or miss is back, people are gonna be like, okay, I'm making a 3-point shooter. I'm gonna left, right, cheese behind screens and just pull every shot. It's not as easy as it sounds. So don't think you're going back to 2K24. It's different, especially I mentioned with the contest. So I encourage people to try out a bunch of different styles before they commit to what they're building.
One way to play.
yeah, I mean, you've seen it already downstairs, but like floaters are tough. Like they're really strong, and you know, if you get in your bag and you find the custom layup package that you want for your guy, you're going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, you can be exploding downhill and stop on a dime and just float it over the. Yeah, no, it's.
Yeah. And dunks too. You see it. We made dunks easier. It's just hold down on stick now. It's not a big Mortal Kombat throw as people call it.
Seems like even like
easier.
standing dunks as well, like standing meter dunks. Everything seems a bit more.
Yeah, okay. Not worried about 7-4s, but I think they're okay. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. When it comes to dribbling in 2K26, what was your vision? What did you see and what did you want to execute? And are we going to see big builds being explosive and popping off the dribble like LeBron and Durant and all the taller players in real life?
I wouldn't say popping, but they're definitely moving better.
Okay.
The goal for dribbling at a high level was to make it more explosive. Let players branch and chain moves together more readily, more freely. Have moves generally be more explosive, both launching out of them and just chaining between moves. And then just putting a lot of different combos in that haven't been in the game for a while or never have been in the game.
Right.
So that's exciting to me always. Working on the dribbler is just like, what can I Easter egg into this thing? Not tell anybody about. It's not in 2K. Learn 2K. You
See how long it takes them to find it?
Yeah, gotta wait till Steezo's video comes out, or you gotta like get in the lab and you gotta just cook. So, yeah, discoverability to me is like one thing that I'm excited about for dribbling, and I think people are gonna find like their dribble style and all the moves that you can set up with your guy, and find the right combo that that you're good at and get in their bag. And
I messed with it a little bit, and it definitely feels more explosive. Even the 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", yeah, definitely compared to last year, much more. I know you said not poppy, but I would describe it as more, burst.
Yeah. Shout out to Shay, our cover guy, because a lot of his animations are pretty tough. So he's a good dribble style to try out too, I'd say, for the bigger guards. So
judging by the things you've tweeted and answered questions on, it seems like you're kind of leaning towards a more skill-based defensive system in the game. Like you said, pluck steals have been nerfed, but blitz steals will be rewarded. It seems like if you outplay your opponent, that's what you're looking to reward defensively. Was that the idea going into kind of revamping how defense is played?
Especially with steals. Steals have been, for a long time, haven't had much of a game to them.
Right.
It was kind of a ratings-based dice roll. So that's what I meant when I said the pluck steals are gone.
Yeah.
The ones that are just calculated by like, here's your rating, here's my rating, I hit the button, let's just play an animation out, that's all gone. So actually you guys inspired me a lot. Watching Black Market play and watching like Bauer play defense, I call him out. I guess it's all you guys, but especially Bauer, and like how good he is at anticipating and cutting the dribbler off. I wanted that to be the game. Like if you can read where the ball handler is going and then hit steal at the right time. We spend a lot of time on that too, just the ball targeting on steals and playing the right animations. They're quicker generally, the animations themselves. So, and not locking you into them as much. But yeah, that whole the IQ part was important to me. Yeah.
Actually having some stick skill to be rewarded for a steal instead of just, like you said, pressing a button and the game gives it to you. Yeah,
and that was, like I said, the top of the thing is like that was across the board, right? So, but especially with defense, steals, blocks are the same way. We didn't want to just be like, okay, your rating's good, you block everything. Right. It's got to be, you got to time it, you got to read, you got to know when to jump, when to stay down, those kinds of things.
I saw some people follow up that they were concerned, like, oh, so what's the point of even going high steal? From my experience playing 2K, the higher your steal, the better reach animations you get. Not just plucks, just better, quicker reaches. You recover faster instead of getting into a long, kind of stumbly reach animation. I'm assuming that's consistent this year.
Yeah, and you even have like, we actually have different collision radius with the hands based on your steal rating. So there'll be times where like, if you're the ball and I have a lower steal rating, if I get like right on the edge of it and I'll miss it, but that extra couple of like sometimes inches or less than inches can make a difference between a steal and not a steal. So that stuff's all impacted by your steal rating. So there's reason to invest in steal, especially if you want to be a lock or a two-way. You're going to need it.
You touched on it a little already in terms of the build and play style diversity you're looking to create. Is there anything else gameplay-wise that you would say you're hopeful creates that diversity in 26?
Besides the builds themselves and the takeover system, I think I mentioned on Twitter, we opened up some of the requirements too for like dribble styles and for dribble moves that So the rule kind of was, if it was like an 80 rating requirement, and you were like, it was like for swings only or for smalls only, that got moved to both. So that's kind of the rule. So I know people were saying like, okay, well that means that like LeBron can get Kyrie's moves, and that's not how it works.
Right.
Kyrie's still going to be limited to the small guards because it's such a high rating.
Yep.
But yeah, opening some of that up is going to, I think, hopefully create some build diversity, or give people options at least. Like if they're only choosing a small guard because they want a certain dribble move style or a certain move itself, maybe they can open that up to a 6'5" or 6'6" now, or 6'7", something like that.
Big shout out to Mike for sitting down with me, but if y'all want to check out this gameplay in action, click that video on